Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. Welcome back. In the description below, there's a link to a video entitled, "Does Neck Tension Affect Precision?" It had previously been entitled, "Does Neck Tension Affect Accuracy?" I changed that because that is a better description of what it is that we're looking for here. Accuracy has to do with the ability of a bullet to hit a target. So for example, if you're shooting at 100 yards and you're capable of hitting a 1-inch bullseye every time with that shot, you would say that that bullet is accurate. But if you were to be able to put those shots through the same hole every time, you would say that that round is very precise. And so that's what we're looking for here, is precision in our reloading. For years, I've been plagued by flyers, and what I found in this test, I was pretty much able to eliminate my flyers in all of my groups except for one. This was also one of my most viewed videos, and of course, as such, it also got a lot of comments. One of the comments said, if you were to rerun this same test, it would be interesting to see if you might get a different result. Another commenter said, he goes by the handle 18 Wheels and a Dozen 6-Shooters 5, said, I'd be curious to see what the group would be for the same load with a regular expander ball die in comparison to the Mandrel die. And so I have done exactly that with this target. I'll be shooting 15 shots at each target. 15 of these were sized with the resizing die and the expander ball that came with the die. It's a Hornady die set. And 15 will be resized with the same Hornady die without the expander ball, but the neck tension will be set with a 2,000th neck sizing Mandrel. I had another comment from a Mr. Jeff Siewert. I didn't recognize that name when I first saw it, but another viewer pointed it out to me and suggested that I Google his name to learn a little bit more about him. So I did, and as it turns out, he's actually the author of this book entitled Ammunition Demystified, The Non-Bubba's Guide to How Ammo Really Works. And there's a link in the description below to the page on Amazon where you can see this. And on that Amazon page, it gives a little bit of his biography. It says, Jeff Siewert is a recently retired ballistics engineer who has worked on ammunition in virtually every caliber between .17 caliber up to 8-inch howitzer. He has conducted studies on bullets, propellants, ignition systems, cartridge cases, fuses, armor penetration, trajectory matches, radar data reduction, bullet barrel interactions, including in-bore balloting and body engraving, and rifling design. And it goes on and on. There's also a link in the description below to a Hornady podcast in which Mr. Siewert was their featured guest, and he goes on for about an hour talking about ballistics, and this man's knowledge is just incredible. Well, I have to tell you that I was very flattered that he would watch my channel, much less that he would even leave a comment. And he writes, when the number of shots is 30, I'll start to believe that neck tension is a factor. And he inserts in there that neck tension, actually you're measuring the dimensional interference as a factor. I've measured seating force on cartridges. Seems to me to be zero correlation between neck inside diameter and peak push force, as well as no correlation between neck thickness and peak push force. Do we have a testable theory why more consistent case mouth dimensions results in smaller groups? And of course, in my limited brilliance, I replied, added consistency. Thanks for watching. Well, I do believe in added consistency. The more consistent we can be with annealing, with case prep, with sizing, with trimming, with bullet seating depth, with powder charging, with primer seating, the more consistent we can be in every step, the more precise we'll be in our reloading ventures. So in any event, Mr. Siewert, thank you so very much for your comment. I am taking it to heart, and I am going to put 30 rounds downrange to the target here. They won't be a single 30-shot group. I think that might have been what you were alluding to, but I'll be shooting 15 shots that were sized just using the neck expander ball that came with the die, and 15 shots that were sized using the expander mandrels. So stay tuned and we'll see how those perform. All right, welcome back to the channel. Once again, we're at the Georgia Gun Club's 100-yard indoor rifle range. Today I'm shooting my Tikka T3X mounted in an MDT Oryx chassis, chambered in Remington 223 with a Arkin SH4 6-24 by 50 first focal plane scope. In this video, I'll be conducting a test in which I'm comparing cases that were sized using the sizing ball that came with the resizing die versus those that were sized with the expander mandrel. I'll be shooting two 15-shot groups, and I'll be shooting these round robin style. I'll first shoot 5 fouling shots, and then I'll shoot 5 shots at target 1, 5 shots at target 2, 5 shots at target 1, 5 at target 2, 5 at target 1, 5 at target 2, so that we are getting a equally dirty barrel as we progress through here. All right, so the first target will be with the expander ball, and the second target will be with the expander mandrel. All right, as always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results that follow. Shooting 100 yards. All right, this is just the first 5 shots at each target, and we're going to be firing 15 at each using the same target. But I just wanted to give you a quick update on how the first 5 at each target looks, so I'm bringing that in. Okay, these first 5 shots, the cases were sized using the expander ball that came with the full length sizing die. I'm guessing that's right at a ½ inch right there, overall group size, and the mean radius is going to be at least in the low 3s, if not the 2s. And here, I'm pretty sure I pulled this one, but these 5 were from cases resized using the 2000th expander mandrel. And they shot pretty well also, similar size, similar mean radius, but just a slightly different pattern, grouping more to the left, whereas the expander ball, they group slightly more to the right. But we're going to continue to shoot these. I'm going to shoot 5 more here, 5 more here, and then we might bring them in and take a look, or we might keep going. But anyway, stay tuned. All right, round 2, 5 shots at each target. All right, I don't know if I'm becoming a better shot or a better reloader, but these boys are looking good. After the second round of 5 shots each, we're looking really tight. I'll be interested to see what the mean radius is on these after 15 shots and if this holds up to be consistent. But right now, it looks like the point of impact on these is very consistent. So let's take a closer look for just a brief second here. All right, it's looking like the point of impact on the expander balls is pretty consistent. Right here, we'll measure these. We've got a couple of outliers here. It looks like at one time we might have been stringing vertically, then horizontally. But here with the 2000s mandrel, this looks to be a rounder group. But anyway, send these back down for another 5. 100 yards. There we have it, 2 15-shot groups. 30 rounds total. Let's bring them in and take a look. All right, 2 15-shot groups. They are very similar. If there's any appreciable difference at all, it looks like the one sized with the Mandrel, that produced a rounder group, and it looks like probably a smaller extreme spread. If you were to consider this, it looks like 1 or 2. Well, if you take them out of the equation, you've got a really tight cluster right here. Over here, same thing, just shot slightly differently, whereas this one seemed to cluster more on center or maybe slightly to the right. This one clustered slightly to the left with a couple of shots on center, but the majority going slightly to the left. But irregardless, both of these, you had a fairly consistent point of impact on these. But we will take these home, measure these with the Hornady ballistics app, and I'll get back to you with the results. So stay tuned. All right, so I'm back from the range, and I've got the results from where we were doing the test, where we shot 15 rounds, where the cases were sized using the full-length sizing die and the expander ball that came with the die set, and another 15 rounds that were sized using that same resizing die but without the expander ball, and then setting neck tension at 0.02 of an inch with the expander mandrel. Okay, and these are the results. We're shooting 15 shots each. I shot 5 fouling shots. And with the expander ball, we had a group size of 0.84 inches and a mean radius of 0.25. And as I've mentioned before, a radius is half of a circle. So if you double that, that gives you an average group size of 0.5 inches. On the 2000s Mandrel, we were a little bit tighter. Instead of 0.84, we had a group size of 0.74 and a mean radius of 0.22. So we had an average group size of 0.44. So I would say that the difference, while it seems marginal, it's definitely there and it's definitely measurable. If you want to give any credibility to 2 15-shot groups, the use of the expander mandrel certainly makes a difference. On the velocity, these were both shot with the same charge weight, 22.8 grains of Varget and a 75 grain bucktail hollow point bullet. With the expander ball, we had an average velocity on 15 shots at 25.79 feet per second with a standard deviation of 21.9. And for the expander mandrel, we had an average velocity of 25.86 and a standard deviation of 18.6. So there's a 1/10 of an inch difference between 0.74 and 0.84 on that group size. Also, if you look at the one size with the expander ball, you look at that 0.84, it looks like there's a flyer here off to the side, whereas the ones that were sized using the mandrel, that group seems to be more round. All right, so these are my results. I hope you find this information helpful. If you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, questions, please leave those in the comments below. I try to interact with everybody that comments. I hope you will also like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.